In this video, I'm going to explain how to guarantee screenwriting success. Now, a lot of people are going to say that's just simply not possible. But if you stick with me throughout this video, I'm going to show you not only why it is possible, but exactly how to get there. Not long ago, I introduced a money-back success guarantee for Fast Screenplay. Literally, if you sign up for my system and you complete it as instructed, I guarantee success. I guarantee you will achieve professional results, or I'll give you your money back. Now, on first glance, that sounds a bit like a gimmick. There's got to be a catch here, right? I mean, there's a loophole somehow. I mean, I don't know you. I don't know anything about you. I don't even know if you have an aptitude for writing. I don't know what your ideas are like. I don't know if you can persist and push and if you even want to reach out to the industry itself. How can I guarantee your success as a screenwriter? So what I want to do in this video is I want to explain firstly how to guarantee one's success in screenwriting, because it actually is very possible. And then secondly, I want to build from that and show you how I've designed that into the system so that the guarantee actually is legit. There's no loophole here. There's no fine print that I sort of weasel my way out of. The reality is, if you persist, if you do the steps as instructed, you will succeed. I don't expect to give anyone their money back, because I expect you will go through, and if you do the system, you will succeed. So if you don't, I'll put my money where my mouth is. Now, so ultimately, there are three things that you need in order to guarantee your success. Number one is you need to be able to write at a professional level. Screenplays are professional documents, and this is something that people who, the daydreamers, the weekend warriors, don't understand. They buy script formatting software, knock out 100 pages of screenplay, and send it in hoping for the best. The reality is producers can't use that stuff simply because the screenplay is the production blueprint. It needs to understand and take into consideration all aspects of the filmmaking process, from assembling the project in the first place, being able to attract actors and directors and investors to the project, but also the production process itself. It needs to take into consideration the logistics of it, make sure that we're creating something at a budget level that can actually be recouped later because there's a big enough market for, over and above all the story structure and character and dialogue and pacing and subtext and subplots and all that stuff. So ultimately, you as a writer need to be able to write at a truly professional level in order to guarantee your success as a screenwriter. So the second thing that you need is something that I've never seen written or talked about anywhere before. It's something I only discovered when I sat down to start reverse engineering this process from the producer's perspective. And that is you need to master the skill of alignment. Now, alignment is ultimately, screenplays only exist to be turned into a film. So if you write an extraordinary story, create an amazing screenplay, if it's not aligned with the needs of a producer, a production company, director, actors, investors, the people that will turn the script into a film, if it's not aligned with those needs or those creative sensibilities, it's going to sit on your bookshelf forever. Ultimately, alignment is a two-way street. Alignment is when ultimately the filmmaking process is a collaborative process. Ultimately, there are all these people that are going to come together and make the film. The screenplay is a component of that. The screenplay is not an end product unto itself. So as a professional screenwriter, you need to have and develop the ability to not only write great screenplays, not only connect with the industry itself, but also to create material that is aligned with their needs, or to adapt your material to align to their needs. That I'll show you why that becomes important a little bit later. So the third element that you need is the ability to find and connect with producers, the ability to find and connect with specifically your project's ideal producer. Now, if you can develop those three things, then you will firstly have the ability to take your ideas and turn them into stories that are legitimately producible. Secondly, you will have the ability to align to the needs of a producer, whether it's them aligning to your project or you aligning to their business reality. you will also have that third component, which is the ability to find and connect with producers. If you develop those three things, you will continually improve at this craft until you succeed, until success becomes inevitable and therefore guaranteed. Now, as I've said in other videos on this channel, the opportunities for screenwriters have absolutely exploded. They become quite literally unlimited. So there are an unlimited number of producers out there. If you can find and connect with them, fantastic. If you can develop at a professional level, you're ready for it. If you can align with them, you can become somebody that they can actually work with. So ultimately, guaranteeing your success as a screenwriter requires those three things. Now, as I sat down to build the fast screenplay system, ultimately I wanted to make I wanted to start an independent film studio, make up to 6 films a year, and I couldn't find any screenplay. So I sat down to figure out, how do we get from point A to point B? You've got a great idea. Ultimately, we need screenplays. How do we get from here to here? And I realized that there are basically 7 phases to this process. The first phase is the story development phase, where you have an idea, you turn it into a story. The second phase, you get that story onto the page by writing that first draft. The third phase is you rewrite that draft. You strengthen it. You make it solid. You make it the story that it really wants to be, because it almost never comes out perfect. So you shape it into what it needs to be. Fourth phase is you polish it so that you've created this extraordinary reader experience. That's the writing process, the 4 phases of the writing process. The next phase you also have to do is that alignment phase. You need to get notes and feedback and make sure that your story is having the effect that it needs to have, and then figuring out how to adapt and align your project to the feedback that you're getting. So that's where you develop the alignment skill. You then need to develop that skill of, okay, now I've got this project, how do we find and connect with the producers themselves? So those are the 6 phases. But then ultimately I realized, we can introduce a phase at the beginning there where we're going to prepare you for this process, literally pre-align your creativity so that you are creating material that's already in sync with their needs before you start. Most writers will just jump in. It's all about creating the story, and so they'll create stories that can't be used. So if we introduce ideas and techniques at the beginning, we can pre-align your creativity so that the ideas that you have are already more professionally viable. Ultimately, so there's these 7 phases of the whole process. Now, one of the challenges is that you cannot learn something and master it at the same time. Ultimately, information does not equal skill. Just because you know this, that you know that there are these 7 phases, does not mean you've mastered these 7 phases. For example, let's take the story development phase. The story development phase, if we zoom in on that one phase, you start with an idea, you end with a compelling original screen story. So how do we get from there to there? Well, we have to figure out what your idea is. We have to expand that into a story. We have to flesh out the characters and build the scenes and build the subplots and the opposing characters and the ally characters, and we have to build the world and develop the pacing and the subplots and the subtext and all the detail of that to flesh out that idea, turn that into a story. So in Fast Screenplay, I've mapped that out as 40 steps that grow organically. I've got a video series coming up about precisely that to show you how we do that. So those 40 steps, as you go through those steps and develop your story, you're developing the ability to turn ideas into stories intuitively. Now, the secret ingredient that I've included is that every single one of those steps has a title that is an action, that is the essential action of that step, so that we can then compress, we can compact those 40 steps into individual essential actions so that you can go through them one after the other and you can turn ideas into stories in about an hour or so. Now, ultimately, is that going to make you a master story developer? Well, not the first time through, maybe not the 5th time through, but as you continue to do this process, yes, it absolutely is going to make you a master. It's going to become an intuitive part of who you are. Now, that's that one phase. If you take the other phase, you learn how to write and quickly and intuitively. You learn how to rewrite, this extraordinary rewrite phase we put together that helps you navigate this chaotic rewrite process. As you develop and master this process, you'll be able to rewrite anything. You'll be able to turn any draft into something extraordinary. As you polish it and create this amazing reader experience, you'll be able to do that for every project. As you learn this art of alignment, you will ultimately be able to resolve any situation. And here's the key to guaranteeing your success. You need a system, a path, a process that when you encounter roadblocks along the way, you have a solution to the roadblock. So for example, if you finish your script and you can't get people to read it, here's what you do. Well, we've built that into the system. If you can't get a producer to pay attention to you, well, here's what you do. If they read your script and they're not interested, here's what you do. If you can't get an agent, here's what you do. If you don't know which idea to choose in the first place, well, here's what you do. So that at every point, every obstacle, every roadblock becomes not just a potential learning experience, but it becomes a scenario where by mastering that, you adapt and align and retarget and get pointed in a clearer direction toward what you're trying to achieve, which is create a professional level screenplay, which is develop a professional screenwriting career. So in that way, by going through this process, you can literally guarantee your success. Now, because I know what this is all about, because I stand by it 100%, I'm literally guaranteeing that you will succeed if you go through this process. And if you don't, I offer your money back at the end of it. If you do this process, I don't think I'm ever going to give you your money back, because you're going to succeed instead, and you'll make far more money than what you've invested in the process. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope this makes sense to you. And if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to drop them in the comments below. I'm here to help every step of the way. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.